I loved Nicodemus. Now Jesus is telling Nicodemus on verse 7 of chapter 3. He says, verily, verily, I say unto thee, you must be born again. It is not you may. It is not you should. He says you must be born again. Praise the Lord. All of us here were baptized. We were recruited into the army of Jesus. He's our commander. And when a commander gives an order, every soldier follows. On the parade, if he says, Siraha Begani, all arms have got to go shoulders. If you say Legeza Mwiri, you have got to go at ease. Jesus is commanding us, you must be born again. It was on this note, my fellow friends, that I went into inexplicable trance, and therein a man stood before me and called me by my name. He says, Chris, fear not, no one is going to kill you. Fear not, no one is going to kill you. He may have studied the countenance of my face that I was not believing, and then he told me that in 3 days you will leave this cell. And he departed. Now when I came out to my senses, I said, this must have been a dream. But then I was not sleeping. So I thought maybe it was the death row syndrome which had set in me. I had no way of telling time, let alone days. But I think which was after 3 days, the warders came early in the morning, 6 o'clock, opened my cell, and they say, get out, go back to the ward to be with your friends. And I left isolation. I left isolation. I was very happy. But then I could not tell this story. I thought some inmates would think either I had run mad or were making up a story. So I kept quiet. But it kept on, you know, pushing me until when I had to give the testimony. Following that, I established church in Condemned section. Up to now, it is still running very, very strong. In this, I had strong hatred for a man called Yoweri Museveni. I hated him with spare hatred. Just as you have got your vehicle with 4 tires, but you keep 1 tire spare in case you get a puncture to put it on but continue moving. That was the same thing. President Museveni hated me in equal measure. Everywhere on campaigns where Rwakasisi killed my children. Rwakasisi is a murderer. And I asked myself, said, but okay, his son Kenny Rugaba is there. His daughter Natasha is there. Patience is there. Diana is there. Who did I kill this earth? No, he killed my children. Well, although I had accepted Jesus, because Jesus found me, I never found him. But the hatred for Museveni still lingered there. And when I was reading the Bible, Psalm 118, verse 17, 109, from verse 4 up, King David was praying for his enemies. And he said, may they all die. When they go to court, may they be defeated. May their children have no bread. Well, I said this is a very good prayer. So I would go on my knees, pray for the death of Museveni, his family, his people who support him and all that. Museveni never died. On the contrary, he continued winning elections after elections. Those who were captains became generals. So I said, what kind of a praise is this? But it was because of forgive and forget. How could I forget? However, I found a reading in Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 34, where God says, paraphrase it, that I will forgive their iniquities and their sins, I remember them no more. He did not say, I will forget them, because God has no capacity to forget anyway. So I was trying to contrast this word, forget and remembering no more. I found out that remembering no more, you know that yes, someone injured you, but you no longer hold him accountable. And in the course of time, you know what? You forget. So I changed my prayer from the list of hate to the list of love. I would go on my knees, pray for President Museveni, pray for his cabinet, pray for everybody touching him. And you know what? Things now started changing. Museveni went to Kasese in Uganda, western Uganda. There were rebels on Mount Rwenzori. And he said, calm down. I will forgive you as I forgave Rwakasisi. When I read it, I said, so the man forgave me? That was 1989. And I continued praising the Lord. And you know what? All the generals I was praying for to die instantly, now they would meet my wife Joyce and said, take this money to buy Chris something. Others would send me books. Others would send me what? Life started becoming very easy and easy. A heavy stone was lifted from my back. But then Museveni said, although I have forgiven him, but I will never release him. But I continued praying for him. I had spent a lot of money on this case. I even hired a British lawyer, TV Edward Chusi. I spent money, but money didn't work. After 24 years, the OC called me in his office. He gave me a chair he had never given me before, because prisoners are not supposed to sit on chairs anyway. He gave me a chair. He extracted a file from his drawer and got me a letter. It was on the blue stationery, which in Uganda is the monopoly of the State House by President. I read the caption. It was instrument of release. Then my eyes went down, so I signed it. Yoweri Museveni, President of Uganda. And what is the contents? In the powers conferred upon me by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1905, sections quoted, and says, I hereby order the Commissioner General of Uganda Prisons and the OC of Luzira Upper Prison Maximum Security to cause the release of Chris Rwakasisi unconditionally with immediate effect. That was it. Here he was, out. That is forgiveness. Now, second section. After about 3 weeks, the telephone rang. You know, when I was taken to prison, we never had these mobile phones. So I didn't have one even. My wife did. So she came running with the phone and said, some people want to talk to you. When I got the phone, I either held it upside down, I can't remember. Then I said, hello. that Honorable Rwakasisi? I said, oh, people are still calling me. Said, the president wants to talk. I asked, is that the president of FUFA or what? He said, no, His Excellency. He came on the line. Chris said, yes. Can we meet? I said, Mr. President, there is always time to meet President. So he gave me time the following day, and here I was at Nakasero State Lodge. I was ushered in. I thought I would go in the room and sit, and then he will come standing up, Your Excellency, and all that. But when they opened the door, the president was seated already at his desk. He rose, came, we met midstream, and we hugged each other, which Museveni doesn't do anyway. And then we greeted in our language, but midway, he stopped and asked me, you and I, who's older than the other? I said, I'm older than you, Mr. President. He said, now greet me, because in our culture, it is the old who greet the young, not the other way around. So he said, oh, Chris, welcome from prison. I said, Yoweri, welcome from the bush. And we sat down. For almost 2 solid hours, we were talking as if the old lost brothers have now recovered and discovered each other. That was reconciliation. We reconciled.